This episode of Operations Unfiltered is brought to you by Black Girls Love Football. You guys know I'm in my football girl era, and Black Girls Love Football is an online community made for women of color who love football. The NFL season may be over for now, but merch is always available. Head on over to Instagram and follow them at Black Girls Love Football and tell them Zuryna sent you. Now let's start the show. Welcome to Operations Unfiltered, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of influencer and talent management. I like to think of it as the place where business meets culture and project management meets real life. I'm your host, Zuryna, and today we're diving into a hot topic that's changing the game for young athletes. I'm talking about name, image, and likeness, better known as NIL. If you've been scrolling through social media, you've probably seen high school and college athletes signing major endorsement deals, repping brands, and securing the bag before they even hit the pros. But here's the catch. NIL isn't a free-for-all. The rules are complicated, state laws vary, and if you're not careful, you could fumble the bag before you even get your first check. And get this, the wildest part. Social media is both the biggest asset and the biggest liability in this space. So today we're breaking it all down. The power of social media literacy, the messy NIL landscape, and a real life case of a young athlete from Houston who reached out to me for help. So without further ado, let's get into this week's episode of Operations Unfiltered. First things first, if you're an athlete in 2025, your social media is your resume. Brands aren't just looking at stats, they're looking at things like engagement, personality, and most of all, professionalism. So what does good social media look like? It means you're marketable, relatable, and brands want to align with you. But bad social media means one bad tweet from a few years ago resurfaces, and suddenly that six-figure deal that you were hoping for vanishes. A real-life example of this is Mikey Williams, a once highly recruited basketball player with millions of followers. It seems like his social media presence helped him build a brand, but legal issues off the court led to lost opportunities. The same platforms that made him a superstar also amplified his downfall. So as a project manager, what can we take away from this? Think of social media like a long-term project. Every post, every partnership, every comment is a stakeholder interaction. Manage it wisely. Now let's talk about the actual NIL rules, or better yet, the lack thereof. Here's the deal. There is no federal NIL law. Every state has different regulations. Some allow high school athletes to sign NIL deals and some don't. Another thing to remember is that colleges set their own policies. Some schools let athletes work with agents, some don't. And the NCAA, they're barely keeping up. They put out vague guidelines, but enforcement is typically inconsistent. So to translate things, what works in one state might get you in trouble in another. Here's another example. Jaden Rashada, a top football recruit who had an NIL deal worth millions until it fell apart because of contract issues and unclear regulations. These deals are not guaranteed, and without the right legal guidance, young athletes can get played before they even get paid. So another takeaway here, NIL deals are just contracts, just like project agreements. You need to know the fine print before you sign. Okay, so for this episode's Behind the Briefcase, I want to take you behind the scenes of a real project that I'm working on or that a colleague has worked on and how we worked through it. So a few weeks ago, a young athlete from Houston slid into my DMs with a question, how do I start preparing for NIL? That sounds simple, right? No, because here's the tricky part. Texas NIL laws allow college athletes to profit, but high school athletes, that's a completely different story. And if this athlete moves states for colleges, the rules change again. So how did I handle this situation? Step one, I completed research and a risk assessment. I had to break it down. Texas NIL laws, school policies, and NCAA guidelines. And spoiler alert, it's messy and confusing. Step two, build a roadmap. I advised him to start by cleaning up his social media, documenting his dream brand partnerships, and connecting with compliance officers at potential schools, as well as building relationships with other people who are in the same position that he is. Step three, I set expectations. I reminded him that just because an NIL deal is offered doesn't mean that it's a good one. Some deals have hidden clauses and some brands just want cheap promo. The reality of the matter is NIL is truly the wild, wild west. Young athletes need mentors, legal guidance, financial literacy, and a solid personal brand to navigate it successfully. Now, you might be thinking, okay, cool, NIL talk, but what does this have to do with marketing project management? What does this have to do with talent management, influencer management? Everything. NIL deals are just another form of business negotiation, brand strategy, and stakeholder management. But here's what we can take away from this: contracts matter. Whether you're an athlete signing an NIL deal or a project manager finalizing vendor agreements, always read the fine print and read it again and one more time just to be sure. We also have to realize that social media is an asset or it can be a liability. Your brand, be it personal or professional, can open or close doors. Manage it like a long term investment. Last but not least, every opportunity isn't a good one. Or, as my grandmother would always say, all money ain't good money. Just like not every influencer deal is worth taking, not every NIL deal is worth signing. If you treat NIL like a business, you set yourself up for long term success. If you treat it like fast cash, you could end up losing before you even start. Keep that in mind. Well, that is a wrap for this very short episode of Operations Unfiltered. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please do me a favor, share this with an athlete, a coach, or anyone trying to navigate NIL. And if you're a business, athlete, or a creator looking for real strategy or some consultation, slide into my DMs and let's make sure your name, image, and likeness are working for you, not against you. Until next time, make sure you manage your projects, your brand, and your money, and I'll see you guys soon.